Israel, the Holy Land. It is a place of beauty and meaning for millions of people of faith. It is the place where it all began. In February of 1992, a group of us journeyed to the Holy Land on a trip sponsored by the North Alabama Conference and hosted by Bishop Lloyd Knox. Led by two Israeli guides, David and Freddie, we found the Holy Land to be a place of many contrasts. It is a place where the desert explodes with life in the winter. We found that it even snows in the desert. It is a place of great and modern cities such as Haifa, the third largest port city in the world. It is a place of rural communities which are very much as they always have been. It's a place of deep and wonderful traditions of the Jewish faith. It's a place where tradition takes on a new flavor in the modern world. For us, it is the place where Jesus walked, where he worked and played, where he healed and taught. We began our journey in the city of Tiberias, alongside the Sea of Galilee. It was around the Galilee where most of Jesus' ministry was done. It was here that the fishermen made their catch and lived from the land and the natural wildlife. It was by the Galilee where Jesus told parables. It was from here that Jesus' disciples were called to follow. One of the first things we noticed about the Holy Land is that there are church buildings built at almost every traditional spot where Jesus is thought to have done his ministry. For example, the call of the disciples is memorialized along the Galilee with the Church of the Primacy of St. Peter, remembering the instructions Jesus gave him, saying, "If you love me, feed my lambs." Architecture in the Holy Land represents the contrast between the old and the new. A modern church built over the ruins of an ancient basilica marks the spot in the town of Capernaum where Peter's house is thought to have been. Capernaum, the town on the Galilee where Jesus began his ministry, contains a temple which stands on the foundation of an older temple where Jesus taught with great authority. Nearby is the Mount of the Beatitudes, where we saw a church built on the site where Jesus taught, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." At a place called Topka stands the Church of the Feeding of the 5,000, where artwork inside the building remembers the occasion of the great miracle of sharing. Upon leaving the Galilee and traveling toward Jerusalem, the group visited many ancient places which were part of the great story of our faith. At Megiddo, we found the ruins of a 7,000-year-old city which was conquered some 25 times. Megiddo sits on a hill over the valley of Armageddon, an important symbol of scriptural prophecy. At Jericho, we saw the place where the walls came tumbling down. Some of the wall still remains, while much is missing.
And can't find it! Where is it? Elisha, where did it go?
A monastery on a nearby mountain marks the place in the wilderness where Jesus is thought to have prayed. In Qumran, ruins show us the simple life of an Essene community built around the protection of the Holy Scriptures. They did their job, for the hidden Scriptures remained intact until found in a cave not long ago. Across the way, winter life contrasts the lifelessness of the Dead Sea, named so because of the lack of sea life and the high concentration of salt at this, the lowest point on the Earth's surface. Our travels brought us to ruins of ancient Greek culture. At Beth Shean, we saw the ruins of a fantastic culture and leisure center from 4,000 years ago. There we saw the ancient bathhouses and one of the largest Roman theaters found partly intact. At Beth Shean, we made our own new discoveries.
Look what I discovered.
What did you discover? It's a column. Yeah, that's it.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Caesarea, a place of ancient culture along the Mediterranean Sea, was a Christian center in the early years of the church. It was here that Peter baptized the first gentle followers of Christ. It was here that Paul was held in prison before sent to Rome. An ancient aqueduct still stands, which once took water from the mountains into the city. Along the way through the Holy Land, some central events had an important role in the life of our group. One of these was at the beautiful Jordan River, where we shared in a service of baptismal remembrance, connecting ourselves with Jesus' baptism in the Jordan by John. At last, our journey brought us to Old Jerusalem. Jerusalem is considered the holy city to three major world religions: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. In Old Jerusalem, we found the ruins of an ancient place, as well as a shopping culture which is much as it always has been. At the Western Wall, the only remaining feature of the ancient temple, many of the Jewish faith come to remember and to pray. In Jerusalem, many sights met us with memories of our faith. Lazarus' tomb, the Chapel of the Ascension, and the Mount of Olives called us to remember the events of Jesus' life. A visit to the Church of the Nativity carried us through a small door to a liturgical fortress. Below the altar area is a place where the stable of Jesus' birth is remembered now in vestments and in stone. From King David's tomb to the hall of the Last Supper, the places of the Bible brought home the richness of history's journey toward greater hope and love for God's people. Yet the Holocaust Memorial served as a great contrast, a modern reminder of the tragedies that humans can bring upon each other. In contrast with the rough landscape of one possible side of the place of the skull, the elaborate liturgical art of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre vividly remembered the events of Jesus' passion, death, and resurrection. It was against the background of these and other places of our faith that we, members and friends of the North Alabama Conference, found a joyful connection with our history.
Happy, happy, happy.
It is really fantastic. It makes me feel so old.
Well, they found those scrolls when I was in college.
We enjoyed a journey of study, fun and fellowship, and growth with our friends from across the world.
Haba, neranena.
Nagila neranena, neranena.
Hava neranena nagila. Uru ahim.
Uruachim v'lesameach, uruachim v'lesameach, uruachim v'lesameach, uruachim v'lesameach,
Uruachim v'lesameach.
Havan nagila, nagila,
Hava nagila, hava nagila, hava nagila benizmecha. Hava nagila, hava nagila, hava nagila benizmecha.
Havan neranena, havan neranena, havan neranena,
Havan neranena, havan neranena, hava neranena. Uruachim belev sameach, uruachim belev sameach, uruachim belev sameach, uruachim belev sameach, uruachim belev sameach. Hava nagila, hava nagila, hava nagila benizmecha. Hava nagila, hava nagila, hava nagila benizmecha. Hava nagila, hava nagila, hava nagila benizmecha. Hava nagila, hava nagila, hava nagila benizmecha.
By the time we leave here, we will have peace in the Middle East. We will negotiate peace.
Israel, the Holy Land, the place where it all began. In the midst of a continued political turmoil in the Middle East between Israelites and Palestinians of different faith traditions, we found that the moans of bitterness and violence that seem to go on forever contrast with the never-ending cry for shalom, the ancient biblical concept and vision of peace, wholeness, reconciliation, and love.
Uruachim belev sameach, uruachim belev sameach, uruachim belev sameach, uruachim belev sameach, uruachim belev sameach. Hava nagila, hava nagila, hava nagila benizmecha. 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 Hava neranena, hava neranena.